Okay, so hello everyone. This is day 9 of our Django REST framework. In today's video, we have to discuss about the put method. Earlier in the last class, we have discussed about the get and we have discussed about the post. So get means if you want to read the records from the database, right? And like whenever third-party application want to get the database records, in order to communicate to the Django application. So with the help of GET request, we can perform that reading operation. But whenever you want to insert a new record in the database, so that is nothing but post request. Okay, whenever you are creating a new record, and whenever third party application actually, whenever third party application want to create a new record in the database, so we override which method? Post method. Okay, and for updation we have put. Okay, put and patch, because there are two types of updation. One is fully updation, second is what? Partially updation. Fully updation we override the put method, and partially updation means we override the patch method. And after that we will see delete, like how we can delete a record from our date from database using third party application. Okay, let's understand this put as of now. Put means update. Put means update, updation. Okay, all right. So when we talk about updation, so there are two types of updation. Okay, so updation. So one is full update, full updation. I mean, second is what? Partial updation. Okay. So if you want to do the full updation, so what we do, we use this put method. Okay, full updation, which method we use? We use put method. When you want partial update, then we use patch method, right? So if you want to update a full record, so what you will do, you need to get the primary key. Okay, so like you should know the primary key of that particular record. Primary key means, for example, let me just run this code. So py manage.py run server. Okay, so just go here on this URL. Let's go to the admin. Let's go to the employee. So here, as you can see, we have what? Primary key. Primary key are nothing but ID. Okay, so each record is having its ID. Okay, so this particular employee, this now be the employee is having what? The primary key, unique ID. So that unique ID is known as primary key. So each record is having primary key. So in order to update the records, let's suppose if you want to update the employee number, name, and e-salary and e-address, so that is known as fully updation. So for fully updation, what we use? We use put method, right? But let's suppose you have to change the salary only one column you have to change. So that is known as partially updation, and partially updation we do with the help of patch. Okay, so hope you're understanding. Update, method override in serializer class. Okay, so we have serializer class where we will override which method? Update method. Okay, so this is one note for you. And one more thing is update record with primary key with provided data. Okay, so we can say existing instance provided data must be recorded. Okay, so existing instance provided data must be required. Okay, if you want to update the data from a record from a instance means a particular record from the database, so that data to update we need to require it. Okay, so now we have to work in the serialization file. Okay, so you can see here we have one serializations.py. We have to work here. So what we have to do here, just go to the serialization. Okay, so here we have to create one function which is nothing but, let's suppose the function name is update, right? And in this update function we will write arguments like self, and the second one is instance, and the third one is validated data. Okay, so this validated data is nothing but a dictionary, right? So this validated data is nothing but dictionary, right? Like in earlier classes we have discussed about this validated data. Okay, so whenever we are converting Python data into what? Serializer. Okay, so we have is valid to check whether it is validated data or not, and after that we have validated data. Okay, so this validated data is nothing but one dictionary, right? So that dictionary we are using here in our code as well. Okay, so what we will do, we will update the instance id, instance salary, instance name. So when I'm talking about instance id, instance name, so what actually I'm talking about? So I'm talking about the instance e number. So I want to update this instance name. So this is the instance name, means current object column. Okay, instant salary. So I'm talking about instant salary means current object salary, because current object is what? Instance, right? So what I will do, I will just create the columns. So what are the columns we required? E number we have to update, and e name we have to update, and e cell we have to update, then e address we have to update, right? But this e number, it belongs to what? It belongs to instance. Okay, so means this particular current record, this particular current row, that is for one instance, this is another instance, this is another instance. Okay, so instance number, instance e name I have to change. So here I will not say e number, but I will say instance e number, because it belongs to instance. This is also an instance name and instance e cell, and similarly instance e address. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to use validated data, which is there. Okay, so this validated data is nothing but a dictionary. Okay, okay, and in this dictionary, what we are going to do, we are going to giving it e number. Okay, if this e number is not available, eh, like suppose if you are updating this e number, so that is fine. Let's suppose you are not updating the e number, but you are updating the e name only. So in this situation, we will say if you are not updating e number, then this instance e number should be similar to the its original number. Okay, if you are not updating, so we will say assign this value only in the e number. Okay, let's suppose you are updating the name, so we will say do not assign the same value, but assign the updated value. Okay, but if we are not updating e number, then we will say do not use updated value, use the same value, right? So using the same value or updated value, nothing but we will write here, if e number found in the dictionary, then updated. If not found, then write here e number. Okay, but this e number should belongs to instance dot. Okay, means whatever number stored in the database, the same number assigned to it. Okay, when you are not updating it. If updating, then you will get the updated number. Similarly here, okay, if you are updating the ename, then take this ename and assign to the, and replace the instance value with this current. Okay, if it is not there, then we will use this instance ename, means similar name, whatever earlier name was, the same e cell. If updated available, then keep the updated one, otherwise instance dot e cell. Similarly here, if updated e address is there, then use that, otherwise take the same from the database, right? And once you have done this, then we have to save the instance. Whatever changes we have made on the instance, we have to save the changes, and we have to return the instance. Okay, so this code we have to write only. Okay, so now go to the views.py file. So in the views.py file, instead of using this uh, post method, because we are not creating the record, now what we will use, we will create our own method. So as you already know, we will use which method? We will use the put method right now. So here we will create one. Mm, Here, here we will create one def method. Okay, sorry, def put method. First argument is self, then second is request, and the third one is args, which is nothing but variable length argument, then kw args keyword argument. And here what we have to do, we have to repeat the same story. So first of all, we have to read the data from the third party application. So to read the, I mean, we have to collect the data. So request dot body. Okay, so we will collect the data and we will write it in the JSON data. Okay, JSON underscore is not working here. Let me just use this JSON data. Okay, so we are reading the JSON data and we have to convert this JSON to the stream. So stream, how you will get the stream data? You need to use one byte IO class. Okay, so this is inside the IO module. So here we have byte IO and here you can give the JSON data. So JSON converted into stream. Now in from the stream we have to convert it into the Python data, which is nothing but we can say nothing but in a dictionary. So how we can convert? We need to use here JSON parser. Okay, so see all the libraries we have imported. So just we have to use the method JSON parser dot parse, right? And what we have to parse? We have to parse stream into the Python dictionary. And then we have from the dictionary we have to find the ID. Okay, so ID from p data, there is a one get method, and here we will mention what we want to fetch. We want to fetch ID. Now based on that ID we will fetch that particular record whichever we want to update. So we will say emp we have to find. So from where? From the employee class, because this data is there in the employee class. Here you can see employees is available here, so that is why we have to write here employee. Okay, because here we have created model class and this class name is employee. So from employee dot objects dot, not, we will not write all because all is for fetching all the records, nothing but query set, but we will say get is for fetching a particular instance. So id is equals to id. Okay, so this id we are assigning to this id to fetch that particular uh, selected record. Okay, and then that employee we have to convert into what? Serializer. So how we can convert it into the serializer? So we have employee serializer class. Okay, so employee serializer, we have to pass here emp, and we will say data is equals to what? Python data. Okay, so Python data we are passing into it, and the employee also we are passing. So it will give us what? Serialization. Serializer. right? Okay. Now we have to check if serializer dot is valid, right? So if it is valid, if data is valid, then what we have to do? We have to write here serializer dot save. Okay. And if it is saved successfully in the database, means what do we have to display? We have to display one message, and the message will be message is a key, and the value is what? Resource updated successfully, right? So this message we have to display. Now JSON data is equals to JSON renderer. Okay, dot render. What we have to render? This message. This message we have to convert it into one JSON data, and this JSON data we have to send as a HTTP response. Okay, so return HTTP response. First is what? JSON data. Second is what? Content type. Application slash JSON, right? Okay, let's suppose if this is not a valid serializer, okay, that is not supporting to the database, then what will happen? This code will not execute and it will not return the HTTP response. In such situation, the code which is written outside the if will execute. Okay, so the code outside the if is nothing but JSON data is equals to what? JSON renderer dot render, and we have to display one error message. Okay, so error message of what? Serializer. So serializer dot errors. Okay, and next what we have to do? We have to return the HTTP response with status code 400. 400 means there is some error. So HTTP response and JSON data, and then content type is equals to what? Application slash JSON, and status code is what? Status code is not a success code but 400, right? So this is what we have to do. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to write the code in test third party application test.py, because from the third party application we will send the updated value, like whatever values we have to update from the old value to new value. So we will write in the test.py file. Okay, so here we have test.py file, and we have here create method. Let me just comment it. Okay, so here we have to create one method which is update resource. And it will receive the ID. And when we will call this function, which is update resource, so here we will pass the ID. Okay, like ID means which particular record you want to update. So that particular record ID we need to mention, right? So let's suppose ID is 1. So what we will do, we will write here like new emp is equals to what? ID is ID. Okay, and let's suppose I have to update ID. Okay, and then e number, then e name, and e cell. Okay, and e address. All right, so here we have to mention the e number, like e number should be 1133 or 22, right? And the second is e name. Let's suppose mm, okay, so ID first, I mean I want to record the person whose ID is 1. So that employee number I want to update, employee name is I want to update, and salary I want to update like 11,000. Okay, so do not. Okay, and then we have to update what? Address. Address is what? Let's suppose Noida. Right, so these particular things I want to update, but the ID what I'm passing 1. So this 1 will go here, right? And this one ID belongs to whom? So this ID1 belongs to, this ID1 belongs to this Nobita. Okay, so Nobita will replace by the new name, and this E number will also replace, salary will also replace, and address will also replace. Okay, let's see whether it works or not. Okay, so after this, what we have to do, we have to send the request. So for sending the request, we will use the request dot put to update, and base URL we should have base URL plus endpoint, and after that we have to get the data, right? And this data should be in the JSON format. Okay, right now this is what Python dictionary. So we have to convert it into JSON. Okay, so in order to convert it into JSON, we have to write here JSON.dumps. Okay, and we will write here Python dictionary, which is em new emp. Okay, and after that it will bring the response. Okay, so we have to take the response and we have to print the response status code. Okay, whether it is success or failed or what happened. So it will update by the status code, and then we have to display what print response dot JSON. Right? Okay, so let me just open a new terminal. Go to the CD. Make sure your application is running on another terminal, and from the new terminal you are executing your test.py file. Okay, so py test.py. So what it is saying, raised request is expecting one line or more character. JSON decoder error. So 500 means server side error. Okay, so we have to resolve it. Let's provide the IDs to. Will it work now? Again, same error. Okay, so as I said to you, this is validated data is water dictionary. And if you want to fetch data from the dictionary, then you need to use get method. Okay, so for there is a method called get, which is dictionary method. If this key available, then it will display the key, otherwise it will display this value. Okay, instead of error, it display what second value. So second value will be assigned to the e number if we are not providing the, if number is not there in the dictionary. Okay, so we forgot to write here dot get. I think that is make an issue. Okay, all set. Now let's try to run the test step. Let me just clear first. Now test step. Okay, so 200, and what we have updated, employee 2, we are updating employee 2 ID, which is 1122. We are giving the new ID, and the name of that person is Akil. Salary is what, 11,000. So see the ID of the second ID employee. So the employee which is having ID 2, which is this one, so it will convert it into 1122. Okay, so how? When I will refresh, you will see the changes. So ID is 2 converted into employee number converted 1122. Name is Akil, and this is what, 11, okay, 11,000 in Noida. And employee 3 I record, which is having name. So I want to change this name. I want to do the partial updation. Okay, so for partial updation, what I need to do, I just want to change this name. So how can I do? Instead of writing that all the values, what we need to do, we need to write only the required one. Okay, so only the name I want to update. So here I will say name is what, like Salman Khan, right? So this name I want to get, and I have to mention the ID of that particular record. So ID is what, 3. So the record which is having 3 ID, just update this. So can we do this? Let me just clear screen. Let me run this. Okay, so this time it is showing 400 error. So this field is required address. Okay, so what it is saying, you are not entering complete fields, because this is the record, this is the database having more columns. Apart from name and employee number, we have different columns. Okay, actually I don't want to update this employee IDs. I don't want to update employee number. So let me just run it one more time. So now it is displaying, you need to write e number, you need to write e-salary and address. So these also you have to mention, but I don't want to mention. So what can I do? I have to tell I want to update partially. So updating one record is nothing but partial updation. So in views, here what I can do, I can write here partial. Okay, so what we write here, okay, so here we will write partial. This, okay, no, this should be the correct. Partial is equals to what, true, right? So because we are doing the partial updation now. So partial updation means only one or two column you are going to update. So here I just want to update this name column. Okay, of ID. The employee ID is having 3. That employee I want to update. That employee's name I want to update. So let me run this. So it is showing 200, and it is saying resource updated successfully. Let's see. So third ID and the name is Akil. So it should update it with new name, which is Salman Khan. So let me refresh. So can you see it has updated? So fully updation and partially updation both we can do. Okay, so for partial updation, just I need to write here in the views. I have to write here this partial true, right? Okay, so till now we have completed get, we completed post, we completed uh, put, and in the put we have seen put updation. In the put we have seen full updation and partial updation. Next we have to see the delete. Okay, so delete is the okay, so we have to work on delete. Okay, so So first of all, as usual, we have to get the JSON data, right? So how can I get JSON data? So from the requests dot body, right? But we have to create one method now first. So we will write here def delete and self request as well as args kwargs. And now we have to fetch the JSON data from the request dot body, and we have to convert it into stream with the help of pipe io JSON data. Okay, and then we have to convert it into what? Python data. How to convert? We will write here JSON parser dot parse. What we have to parse? Stream, right? And now we have to fetch the ID. Whatever record you want to delete, that ID you should know. So from the dictionary pdata dot get. Okay, so what is the ID? ID is what? ID is a key, so we will fetch the ID. Okay, so we have to fetch the employee detail. So employee dot objects dot get and mention the ID. So that particular instance I want, and that instant I want to delete. So employee dot delete. We have to display one message. Message is what? Dictionary message, and the value of the message is what? Resource deleted successfully. Okay, so what I will do, I will just convert this message into what? JSON data. Right, so I will write here JSON data, then JSON renderer and render message. Okay, return HTTP response. We have to write here JSON data, right? Contained type is equals to what? Application / JSON, right? So, right, so we have done this. Now let's work on test.py file. Test.py, and here we had to create one method. Okay, so the method name is def delete Okay, delete, we can say delete resource. ID, the data is what? Dictionary, and the key is what? This ID is ID, right? And this ID we will provide while calling it. Like I want to delete the first employee, so like that I will provide. After this dictionary, what we have to do? We have to send the request to the server, which request delete. Okay, we have to call which method? Delete method. And where is the delete method? In the views. Okay, so here we have to write delete base URL endpoint. Okay, so this third party application is calling that particular endpoint. And we have to write here data. And data is what? Right now data is dictionary data. So we have to convert it into dictionary. So JSON dot dumps and data, right? Now what we have to do, just print response status code, but response should come. Okay, so response dot status code, and we have to print response dot json. Okay, so let's see whether the first employee record will delete or not. Okay, so just clear screen, and let's see what is our first employee. So this is the first employee. Nobita. Okay, so this record, let's see whether will it delete or not. So let me run just test it. So again it is showing error. Okay, so we are using what? Renderer, but we are using what? Parser. So that is the wrong. So we have to write here. Okay, so for renderer, we have to write here JSON renderer. Okay, dot render. Here we have to give our message. Right. Hopefully it work. It should work now. Should Okay, so let's check whether like employee which is having ID 1 is present or not. So see the database and in the data. Okay, so ID, as you can see, ID starting with 2, 3 and 5. So that is why that could be the reason. So let's change the ID with 5 and let's see whether it's deleting or not. So let's give here ID 5. Okay, so ID is 5. Okay, now let's clear the screen. Okay, 200. Resource deleted successfully. So we got the message. Check it, close it, open it one more time, go to the employee. Okay, so now it has deleted successfully. Go here. Okay, so this is what I checked on ChatGPT. So I forgot to close the tab. No issue. Okay, so let's refresh. So here also we can see that record has deleted. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to delete the second record as well, so which is having ID2. So what you will do, you will write here ID2. Okay, and run the test.py. Okay, so close this, go to the database. Okay, test employee. Okay, you can see only one record left. Here also you can see two records are there, but when you refresh, you will see only one record now. Okay, so delete operations also we have done successfully.